Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This week's reading vlog was inspired by none other than Barbie herself. So I thought it would be fun for me to go through my collection of books that I already own, because I don't need to buy anymore, and see which pink books I have. Look, will this vlog be coming out late? Yes. Are we just trying to survive the fact that the government has said that there's aliens and that they have bodies and UFOs in some sort of secret government facility? Yes, we're all just trying to take it day by day, okay? Anywho, time to ignore the impending doom and read some books. These are all the books I was able to collect that I already own that have either pink or kind of a pink theme to them, and I'll see just what piques my interest. First off, we have Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. So I believe it is about a woman who is like down on her luck, and she is an author, and she's pitching a new idea of one of her new books to her publisher, I believe. And I believe it's like sort of like a mystery, like a murder mystery, and some other woman, oh, it's so loud. Hold on, plane. Of course. I don't film all day, and the minute I sit down to film. Okay, so this book is about a woman who is down on her luck, and she is sort of a failed author, and she is pitching her new book idea, I believe, to her publisher. And it's supposed to be sort of like a murder mystery, and she is describing like how she's going to kill off one of the characters. So another woman overhears what she's saying and sends her a note saying that she wants her to kill someone for her. So it's supposed to be a cozy mystery about Finlay Donovan, who is probably becoming a hit woman. I started this like a year ago, but it just, I wasn't in the mood for it, so I ended up putting it down and picking something else up, but maybe this will be the time I pick it up. So next up, we have The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And this cover is gorgeous, by the way. So this is the same author that did Mexican Gothic, and I read that 2 years ago, I think, when it came out, which I loved. I think I gave it 4 stars. But this one is supposed to be about, it's a science fiction novel loosely based off of the island of Dr. Moreau, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he experiments on humans and animals. So it's probably just her POV during that sort of novel, I would assume, but this also looks really good. Now I have Bunny by Mona Awad. I have been dying to get to this book, but I think my sister and my sister-in-law might want to read this for our like book club, so I might put it off. But I believe this is a sort of like dark academia book where it is a sorority or like a cult of women in New England's elite Warren University. And I think all the women call themselves Bunny or something like that, but it sounds so good. Anything sort of like weird, and I don't know if it's sapphic. That would be amazing if it was. But I think I'm probably not going to read Bunny just because I know that my sister and my sister-in-law would probably want to read it as well. Now we have a classic, Persuasion by Jane Austen. Not super pink, but I thought it fit like a pink theme. It's a beautiful cover. It's one of the signature classics. I think I got it from Barnes & Noble. But little fun fact about me, when I started reading, like actively reading again, I think I was about 30. I want to say it was right when the pandemic happened. I started reading a lot of classics. And my first books I think I picked up again were either Wuthering Heights or Jane Eyre. But to this day, Jane Eyre is like one of my favorite books of all time. But I do have a history with Miss Jane Austen. I read Emma. Oh my God. I read Emma, and I also read Pride and Prejudice by Miss Austen herself. I buddy read Emma with my mom, and it was just so boring. She is known for her witty conversations between characters, and I just found them so like long and drawl. They just kept going on and on. But this one's pretty short, so hopefully I could get through this one pretty easily. So next up, I have a poetry collection. It's called The Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire, and it's translated by Aaron Puchigian. And this was honestly a complete cover buy. I mean, it is so pretty. Oh, I love this cover so much. I know it fits the pink theme, but I don't know if I'm in a poetry mood. So I'll have to think about this, but I did read, I think it's the foreword in the beginning, and the foreword alone was like 40 pages, and I lost interest after that. But I do want to pick this up again because I'm very excited about it. I just don't know if I'm in a poetry mood, honestly. And then last but not least, I have The Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Susann. And this fit the theme very well, considering it's a doll and it's pink. It has beautiful, like, sprayed edges and just so pretty. I believe this is set in the 60s, I want to say. And it follows a series of 3 women and sort of their, I believe it's as they like struggle to kind of get fame and fortune. And I know it's supposed to be like a big storyline about like prescription drugs. And I think one of them becomes like a celebrity or something like that. I watched the movie a long time ago with my mom. I mean, I think it was like in high school. And I did like it, but I really don't remember too much about it. But I think it is sort of like a cult classic movie now. Okay, so let's figure out which ones we are going to read. So off the bat, I don't think I'm going to read the poetry collection. I'm not in the mood. I'm probably not going to read Bunny, since my sister and sister-in-law are probably going to read it with me. I could go with Persuasion. It is a shorter book since I do want to read 2 books during this reading vlog. I think for sure I'm going to pick Valley of the Dolls. I'm really excited to get started on this one. This one has been on my TBR for years, and I think this seems a very fitting time to read this one. I'm thinking reading Persuasion because it's so short, but classics always use, I feel like, either more brain power or like a different part of your brain. So I don't know if I want to invest that kind of thought into Persuasion. The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, I kind of want to save this more for like Halloween times. And then also I have Finlay Donovan. Okay, I think I've decided. All right, I'm gonna read Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Susann, and then I'm also gonna read Finlay Donovan as Killing It. I'm pretty sure I can get Finlay Donovan as Killing It on Hoopla, so I'll be able to listen to it while reading it as well. That is my favorite way to read books, is to have the audiobook and following the book at the same time. I feel so much more like immersed in the story when I do that. I don't know. Let me know. Does anyone actually like read physical books anymore? I get so distracted now. I have like the attention span of like a squirrel. So, okay. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Like Valley of the Dolls is I think it's a modern classic, and I think I should break it up with like a cozy mystery. Okay, I've decided. So I'm gonna be reading these 2 books, and my Barbie pink TBR has been set. I'll check in with you when I have an update. right, first check-in. I am officially on page 92. I'm on page 92 of Valley of the Dolls. I really like it so far. So it takes place in New York City, and it's actually based in 1945. I thought this whole thing took place in the 60s, but I was wrong. So it starts off in 1945, but I think I peeked ahead and I believe it's like only in the 60s for like a third of the book. So I was completely wrong with that, but eventually we get to the 60s, which is something I'm really intrigued to learn about. So I'm on page 92, and so far it's only been Anne's POV. So the book is based on 3 different characters. It's Anne, Jennifer, and Neely. So far the book has been like really frustrating. So Anne, she's like beautiful, tall. I think she's like 20, and like everyone thinks that she's an actress or a model, like some celebrity status. And it's frustrating because she gets thrusted into this lifestyle that she didn't really want, and she isn't really, it almost seems like she's not really excited to be thrown into this lifestyle either. So for example, she ends up getting engaged to this man that she's been dating, Alan, who is apparently like a millionaire. And she tries to tell him and his father when they're out at dinner together that she doesn't want to marry him because she's not in love with him. And they basically look at her and then turn back away and don't listen to anything or acknowledge anything that she had just said. So, which is so on brand for the female experience, I guess. Then she also meets this woman, Helen, who is this big star on Broadway, and she's a big diva, and she essentially commandeers Anne to be her best friend. And she starts trying to give her all these gifts and take her out, even though Anne doesn't really want to do any of that. So yet again, she's kind of thrusted into this life that she doesn't really want. And yet again, she's just, it's against her will. And it seems as though Helen is really only using her because she knows that she is engaged to Alan. So I'm not a super big fan of their relationship so far, just because it seems very one-sided. Okay, I'll check in with you when I get farther into the book. So I finished the book, and dear Lord, have you ever read a book that's so good that is like the epitome of a 5-star read that you start to reassess all the other 5 stars you gave to other books because this one was just so damn good? Oh my God. I literally don't even know how to explain how good this book was. So anyways, for the rest of the book, it switches POV between Anne, Neely, and Jennifer. Anne eventually breaks off her engagement with Alan because she is in love with Lion. So the rest of the book is just her fawning over Lion. And essentially, he can't give her the life that she wants because she wants to settle down, have a family, and he feels like he can't provide for her financially. But she's willing to go so far as to manipulate him into giving her the life that she wants. And it's kind of disappointing because you kind of look at Anne as like the good girl of like the trio. So when you kind of see her take that sort of direction, You're kind of taken aback because it seems kind of out of character, but as the story progresses, you realize kind of how desperate she is for that life. So the next POV is Jennifer, and she is just kind of like the bombshell type character. They portray her as this like drop dead gorgeous blonde, and they always say like she has no talent. She navigates her story essentially using her looks to further her career. So far so that she has plastic surgery to keep her face looking young, which, I mean, isn't so unheard of in today's standards, unfortunately. I believe she's the one who introduces the quote-unquote dolls. It's the prescription drugs that she uses to go to sleep, stay awake. I think even at one point someone uses them so that they're not eating. The dolls are eventually used by each of the girls and of course like related to their demise in the story. And then we have Neely, who is like the rising star who eventually like makes it big, and she is the worst character in the book. She became the diva of the trio, and she was so mean and so selfish. Anne had literally sacrificed everything to kind of keep her out of trouble, to make sure that she was okay. Like, she did so much for Neely, and Neely is like such a backstabber, and she just feels like it's everyone else's duty to take care of her because she's like this huge star. The themes of like self-destruction, power, love, vanity, prescription drugs, and fame were so like heartbreaking because you knew that no one's story was going to end up good in the end. At the end of the story, none of these characters were likable. Everyone was so flawed and broken and just kind of did whatever they wanted to get what they wanted. And it was really frustrating to read, but it was such a beautiful story, but like in the worst way possible. Even Anne, who was like the sweet girl of the story, eventually resorted to like manipulating people in order to get what she wanted. I think the best way to describe this book was from Simon Doonan's piece that was written for the 50th anniversary of Valley of the Dolls. I'm gonna shorten this quote. He said, "Valley of the Dolls is a grim fable. Nothing ends well, success corrupts, fame destroys, dreams become nightmares. Money corrodes, rich men are pigs, solid middle-class men are boring, country life is stifling, big cities are snake pits, nobody is nice, everyone is a mess. It is, in other words, the perfect mirror for today's culture." I'm literally going to be thinking about this book for the rest of my life, I think. It was that good. So next up, I'm going to be reading Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano, and I've actually already started it, which this is also a frustrating read, which seems to be like a reoccurring theme for books that I enjoy. I'm about a third of the way through on chapter 13. So Finlay is a single mom of 2 kids who is accidentally hired by a woman to kill her husband because she overhears her talking to her agent about the murder mystery plot that she's going to be doing for her next book. Finlay's ex-husband is in a custody battle with her because he wants to keep the kids full time because Finlay can't really afford anything. She can't keep her lights on or fix her car because she hasn't been able to make any money from her previous books. The husband is a piece of shit, honestly. He just seems so scummy at this point. Ugh. So far, the book has been like really outlandish, but a lot of fun to read. She's first hired to kill this man who has done some really, really awful things. So he more or less deserves it. But she also ends up enlisting her nanny to kind of help her on this venture, I guess. But that's about where I am right now in the story, but I will check in with you later. Okay, I just finished Finlay Donovan is Killing It. And I ate this book up so fast. Oh, it was so good. I don't want to spoil anything because it's like a mystery, but this was so good. I loved it. I loved how she was able to put the pieces together because she had that background of like a murder mystery author. I thought it was such a smart way for the sort of like amateur sleuth character to figure out what was going on, because I feel like in most mysteries, like the character ends up finding out who the killer was by some like weird fantastical stroke of luck, like way that doesn't make any sense. I did find the stuff with the cop to be a little far-fetched though, because like why would he give her this info just because they were on a date? Like that seems so outlandish and like silly to me. But aside from that though, I loved it. This was the first book where I actually laughed out loud. I don't think I've ever laughed out loud from an actual book before. So I think this was the first one. I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. It was so good. I am excited to pick up the sequel to this, but I haven't heard the best things about it. Everyone always says like if you're gonna read any of the series, just read the first book, but I don't know, that like ending was like the epilogue was such a twist that I don't know. Well, now I want to pick it up. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments if you've read the second book, if you think it's worth it, or if you think I should just skip it. All right. So that wraps up my Barbie Pink TBR for the week. Thank you so much for watching. And remember to say no to drugs. The cheesiest wink.